Welcome to our meeting. We always start with our public participation at Town of Hatfield Select Board meetings. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all the other public meetings in the Town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the Town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting required business. To the Hatfield Select Board, for the public's information, this meeting is being recorded. Under announcements, Friday at 11 a.m., we'll be having a small memorial service for our colleague Kyle Scott, our building commissioner that passed away. So public is invited to attend. And those are my announcements. I don't know if my colleagues have any announcements. Okay, tonight's meeting is mostly a meeting with the Finance Board, but we have some items that we want to take up beforehand, and we're still waiting for members, so that should work out okay. Okay, announcements are done. Public forum, anybody here for public forum? No. We have a consent agreement with the minutes. No, we don't have the minutes, do we?
No, I don't have the minutes.
No, okay. Posted business, topic 1. Real Folks Congregational Church requests to conduct a bake sale at town election on May 19th, 2026. This has been going on for years. They always do a very nice job. We've always allowed it, so myself, I have no reason to deny this. If my colleagues are in favor of this, I'll take a motion on it.
I'll make a motion to allow Real Folks Congregational Church's request to conduct a bake sale at Town Hall on the election day, May 19th, 2026, from 8:30 until 1.
Second that.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Topic 2, we have an appointment of Walter Merrick as interim building inspector, and I believe Walter's agreed to the terms that we put forth with a mini contract of some sort.
Yes, that is correct. So we wrote him an offer letter, which we have in front of you this evening. We also have a employee transaction form, the wage adjustment form. So that would get everything started. I've had some good meetings with him. He's hitting the ground running and taking care of some of the backlog that we have, and I think being proactive as well, which is great. I set the hourly rate of compensation at $36 an hour, which is right around what Kyle was making per hour. Kyle was on a salary versus this is being treated as an hourly position right now at 19 hours a week. Mr. Merrick is fine with that on an interim basis. For longer term, he recommends that we think about setting either the compensation higher or thinking of it as more of a salaried position instead. So something to consider for us as we think about the posting. And once we approve of this, if you want to take a moment to talk about the posting, I think that would be fine. But he's comfortable with the terms that are here in this letter, at least for the next 30 days. And we'd all like to see a good faith effort to get a posting together and plan on trying to find the right person for the position after. I think you should definitely do interviews for it. And I think he would be a candidate for it, but he would be interested in seeing the compensation, altered in that sense.
Okay, since Kyle did recommend him, I have no problems with him being interim.
None. I have no problems. I like Wally.
Okay, if that being said, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Walter Mark as interim building inspector from April 7th, 2026 to May 7th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Topic 3, we're getting ready to go into the finance, but since we're still waiting for one member, we could discuss warrants, I believe, if that's okay with the chair of the finance committee, Sean. Sean is chair this year, okay? I mean.
Do you want to call your meeting to order so you can weigh in on warrants if you want to? Or?
Okay.
Sure. Call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order, 6:05. 607, whatever it is, 607.
I had 606.
Okay, fine. I don't want to split hairs.
It's your job, finance. Great. So I have for you this evening a draft warrant that we can start working through. And I think that could be useful because it does start to make some decisions around what to do both on the capital side and on free cash. And it also sets some of the terms of thinking about what to do on the budget side. I suppose I should just start with, the last time we talked, we discussed that right now it's looking like we have a deficit on the budget based on the initial spending request that came in, and then the state assessments that were being charged, which have definitely increased from last year to a significant degree. And then, of course, the health insurance payments and a couple other things that are out there. So we're right now looking at a budget deficit. Last time we talked, I said it was $568,000. Through cuts alone, and we can talk about those cuts look like, can get it down to closer to 480,000, and then through some other means, I'm close to getting to 143,000, and we'll talk about that tonight. What's our path to getting that deficit shrunk from $568,000 to $143,000, and then what to do about the rest of that. So that's kind of the outline of the night. And to do that, to kind of talk about that broader picture, we can talk about the warrant, we can talk about the budget, we can talk about free cash plan, capital plan, everything else. And we kind of want to just bang everything out tonight so we can be in good shape for the next 2 weeks, next two meetings, to get a warrant agreed on by April 28th. So that's kind of the broad outline, if that's helpful. So do you want to start with the warrant, or do you want to start with, we have our fourth member, you can start.
Daryl's here,
whatever you
so-
want.
Yeah, why don't we start with you want to start with the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you have a handout tonight that just says, this is a top line snapshot of summary of projected revenues and expenditures. I'm happy to project that. I just need to remember what I saved it as.
There we go.
So this is just a very high level look at these broad categories of both revenues and expenditures, just to try to get a sense of where we're at. And where your eye will probably be drawn is the bottom here, where you see the general fund surplus and shortfall, which right now, as I said, is at $481,000. That's after some cuts and changes that I made that I will go over to the general fund budget. But if you take a look right now, the property tax levy shows increasing by 11.9% over 3 years from 2025 to 2027. That's a combination of 2.5% growth and new growth that gets brought in.
Was there any debt exclusion that came in at that time too?
Yeah, there is excluded debt as well, but you'll find that,
Part of that.
trying to see where that would show up in this top line. You'll see debt service increases significantly from 670 to 1,133,000, but much of that is debt excluded. 450, much of it is debt excluded. I think around 400,000 of it is, so of that amount. And I'll show you the full, in fact, it might help just to show you the full spreadsheet here.
But that's part of the 11%, right?
That wouldn't be in the 11.9%, but it is taken into account and isn't added to our general fund deficit. I'm trying to see where it would show up here.
Why wouldn't it show up in the levy?
It wouldn't show up in the levy because that's excluded debt. So if you look at the tax levy here. Oh, wait, no, I think you're right. You're absolutely right. It's in the levy. Yep. You're absolutely right. It's in the levy.
And I bring it up because someone on town floor is going to see that and say, hey, what the heck, 11.9%, how does that math make sense?
Yep.
And I think we need to be able to explain that very well.
Yep. Yeah,
Or
that's
attempt
my
to
mistake here.
explain it.
So it's your,
So
Your growth.
that's a
and-
great point.
And plus.
So if you look at just the levy limit
Yeah, 2.5.
alone, 2025 is 10 million. Then you tell me 10,322,000, and that makes sense. That's an increase by 2.5%. Then you add in the prior growth. We're estimating new growth this year of 87,600 for the moment. We were told to estimate a little lower than last year's final of 101, and if it comes in higher than that, that's great. But we want to estimate lower at the moment. We do have a decent amount of new growth with the Omasta project being finished, pickleball being finished, and then good progress on the Western Earthworks project, and then some other residential properties. But yeah, that's a great point, Daryl, that when you talk about levy limit, that does include excluded debt. And that's $1 million of excluded debt coming this year alone. And that's a growth of around $20,000, $30,000 from last year, but a huge increase from the 628.
That's
FY25.
essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, the sewer project, right?
Yeah, that
Right?
some of, yes, a decent amount of that came on last year and continues to be on this year. And I can show you, overall what the debt is.
The boilers in the roof haven't hit yet, right?
Right.
The boilers in the roof are not in this yet.
Yeah, you can see that here. The boilers and roof are not in this year's because the project is not complete.
Right.
There will be
There it is.
a tiny amount of interest.
Wastewater plant.
So
There is.
David, remind me, how did we pay for that? Was that levy or was that
That's excluded debt.
excluded?
The schools,
Yes.
that's debt exclusion.
Okay.
And there'll be $38,000 this year.
Next year, probably
for that.
starting, right?
Right.
Well, some of it starts because you're on short term.
Yeah, I mean, you might have some interest or whatever,
Just
but
paying interest.
nothing major on that.
$38,000 in short-term financing for next year for the elementary school and paving project.
Okay.
But you can see last year we had $150,000 for wastewater. Actually, it's more than that. It was $295,000 in interest for wastewater, and it'll be around the same this year between these two. So yeah, certainly that's part of the large explosion in the debt. It's the sewer project.
How long on the town hall renovation stuff we got left?
I can show you. Town hall renovation. Article 1, it's 4 years. This other piece is 3 years. Then another piece came in later and was spent
12
later.
years.
It's 12 years, it looks like. But most of it
Yeah.
is coming, well, I guess this part's bigger. So
It's not
12
huge.
years.
It's not huge numbers, but
it's 565,000 in principal, and yeah, it's significant.
Yeah.
You can see this water transmission line is going to fall off, which is nice. 1 year left in that. A couple things with only 3 or 4 years, which is good for debt.
Yeah, get a good break in there for a little while.
Yeah. So it's a few things coming off, then obviously some larger things coming on. All of these things here are still in their short-term financing. They're on bands, wastewater treatment plant, mini pumper, Main Street culvert, and elementary school.
Is that because we haven't gotten a mini pumper yet?
For whatever reason, I guess we've just been financing that through short term until we can roll it into a bigger project.
It's probably not enough.
It's not a huge piece of debt we've taken out there. So once
Issue of
we're going to put that together
not
with
to
the
issue just that.
Oh,
with the culvert for this year, I believe.
I guess my question is,
Just 'cause your
but
costs.
we have the new mini pumper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, we do.
I think just the cost of issuing it,
Yeah.
would be.
some of that was paid for by a grant, correct?
I couldn't say. I only have the debt scheduled for me.
No, not that truck. Okay.
Yeah, so it's small enough, you just carry it on a
Yeah.
short-term basis. Okay.
But once the culvert goes in,
The what?
the culvert, you want to issue for the culvert, you want to lump them
Yep.
together?
And I can
Oh,
show
the
you, yeah,
culvert.
what's,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
a lot of that will be
culvert by
lumped
the
in together
sewage
this year.
treatment plant.
Yes.
That we did.
Yeah, and a lot of that will come, we'll have principal, I believe, this, yeah. It's still on short term, and then we pay
just
all that this year.
did that out of regular debt, obviously, right? We didn't do that out
Yeah,
of
that's general fund.
general fund debt, not
General
debt
fund is fire
exclusion.
truck, fire mini pumper, and
Yeah.
Main Street culvert. None of that was excluded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all useful to think about as we look at the overall position. So this property tax levy that includes excluded debt has increased 11.9% over the last 3 years, but a lot of that, a million, at least $500,000, I think it was close to 1.5 or close to 800,000 was the excluded debt. So it's important to see. And then if you look, I said state aid cherry sheet, that increased about 7.3% from 2025 to 2027. But if you compare that to state assessments, which is kind of on the other side, state assessments have increased by 40%. So while we're getting some extra state aid in some areas, we're also getting assessed at more. From FY26 to FY27, it's almost $200,000 more that we're seeing for the state assessment, whereas the cherry sheet, the state aid, has only gone up by $60,000. So that's going to be tough this year. That's another source of this deficit that we're dealing with.
Remind me what some of those assessments are.
I'll show you the biggest one that we're dealing with,
Charter, choice.
charter and choice.
Choice, yeah.
And part of it is last year I used the early numbers. The charter school sending tuition was $376. I think it ended up being closer to like $420. So this increase looks huge. It was a little lower because of where the 26 number ended up being.
It's a big increase over what we budgeted,
Yes.
not over what we
A
spent.
little less over what we spent, but
Yeah.
and that's in part why we had to do that November fix. That was one of the issues happening.
Does voc ed come out of the charter school, or is that
No,
separate?
voc ed is a separate line
That's
item
a
in the
separate
budget. When you
line
look at our
item.
education
Okay.
line item, and the voc ed has actually been smaller than expected lately.
Yeah,
I've been a little aggressive with our projection for that for next year, but it's in line with what we've been spending. In fact, we cut the voc ed line this year at the November meeting by like $50,000. We're still going to end up like $50,000 over.
right.
So the voc was just less than we would have expected. And we'll find out soon what the total number of students going is.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a useful exercise just to kind of go through. So there's revenues. And the point I'm trying to make here, which I think is mostly true, is that on the expenditure side, we really haven't added that much spending to departments. So going up 4% over 3 years in general government, less than 4% in public safety. And the public safety increase for this year from 960 to 1,043,000. Chief here will tell you what that is. That's the ambulance assessment that we're going to be charged from South County Ambulance. That's $70,000 that I've budgeted and then evened out using the ambulance receipts reserved for now. But we'll have to talk about that. But that's an increase. And it's still not a ridiculous increase of 3.55% from 2025 to 2027. Education, not a very large increase, especially this year. You'll see a decrease because I've reduced the amount of that voc ed assessment. Schools came in at a level funded budget. Public Works is a decrease because of just a number of line items that were either double counted or not really being used entirely. So we've gone down there over 3 years, at least in the proposed budget. Health and Human Services, small, it comes off as a 6.33% increase, but it's really not that large. I'd say we can look at any areas to cut there, and debt service is an increase, as we said, and that includes the
Projects.
and excluded debt. Risk management's come down because we were overinflated in our property insurance line, so I've right-sized that. There's a decrease there, and then employee benefits is our 10.27% increase. And if you just look at the health insurance increase, that's $600,000 alone. So that's what we're dealing with. Most of this increase is coming from health insurance, with state assessments close far behind. And other amounts raised, we can talk about later. And the offset number, I still haven't come up with the final offset number for this year. So that is one area where we might see some variation. And that could actually help us a little bit on the on that budget deficit. But as I said, right now it's 481. As I said, it was before 568, and that counts some cuts that I'm happy to go through just so you kind of understand where we're at right now.
Remind me what the offset is?
These offsets for enterprise and direct costs are anything that we pay for in the general fund, but then gets reimbursed essentially from the water sewer budget.
Right.
So say, we want to reimburse for accountant's time. If the accountant is $100,000, then maybe we'd say 5% of their time goes to water sewer. So we say $5,000 will come from the water sewer budget to pay for.
Same with the collector.
Yeah, and we have two choices. We can
that.
either decrease the amount that we show in the general fund budget and add it to the water sewer, or we keep it the same in the general fund budget and then just show it as an offset. And we're doing a little bit of both for some reasons that make sense. But just as long as we're clear on what happens where, it should work. We don't want to show like a line item on the water sewer side of their share of insurance costs. And that's just becomes cumbersome. So you just have to include it in a thorough accounting of your indirects, which we will. Okay, so that's enterprise funds numbers. Don't look at yet. That'll be updated.
Yeah, the other reason not to do that is because it makes it very hard if anything changes.
It does.
If we put all the costs like that into each individual budget, then if the costs change, we're in trouble.
You'll have a little more variation.
It's hard to move money that way, as opposed to like we have all the insurance in one line. It's just easier to deal with that than it is to deal with.
Kind of comes out in the wash a little more.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. So I'll take a quick pause if there's any questions and kind of this high level overview at the moment. And obviously, I'm not trying to say that we don't need to do anything about our spending, that everything's great there. It's not. Clearly, we have a deficit. So we're going to need to talk about, in the long term, what we want to do about this. And we could even talk in the short term about what to do about it. What I will present to you tonight is what I'm thinking of as a path forward for this year to try to close this deficit. But one avenue available to you is to, in the next few weeks, think about where you would want to do significant spending cuts and just move forward with that. I feel like that would need more time to get right. And I would propose that we try to develop a path to doing that over the next year, looking at more either consolidating or regionalizing of services and then looking at areas for more cuts. I think that's more of a year endeavor than the next few weeks, but that's up to all of you is to determine how you want to go. And one thing we can try to do is be more aggressive with cuts. And I'll show you where we're at right now and what I've identified for that first round. And then I'll show you what I think is a path towards getting us to closing the deficit this year.
Are you going to go through individual budgets since we, the finance committee, haven't seen a lot of the select board side of the ledger?
I can. I think it
maybe
makes
that's
sense to do so. Yeah, we certainly can.
Sure.
I think I'll keep
It
it.
helps get a better sense, a general sense of where we're going, what we're thinking about.
And I can keep it high level for the moment, but I think at some point we'll need to get a little deeper there because we still have some decisions and some line items even, if that makes sense. So I'll just show you my overall thoughts on a plan here. So I kind of have 4 overall buckets. So there's looking at how do we use alternate sources, and that is tiny, sorry. Tiny and can't see anything. So if we need to, so the number I've been playing with, we're having to get to, this says 425 right now, we're trying to get to 568. So that's why it says needed is another 143,000. So the 4 large buckets are using alternate sources. So like we talked about water sewer or Community Preservation Act or just other sources that we have. The next is cuts, so bringing down the general fund budget. Account closings, that's like what we did in November when we had money that was sitting out there from other accounts so we could close and then move those savings to the general fund budget. That's a one-time source, but you can do it. And then the last option available to us, I'd say, is using free cash and stabilization. Our free cash came in pretty high this year. If we feel comfortable using some free cash this 1 year to try to close that deficit, I think it's an avenue available to us. You could do the same with stabilization. It would be better to not, because that's supposed to be our long-term money for a rainy day. But you could also argue this is a rainy day. And I think that's a defensible position as well. So I'll start with
can
that.
you tell me about alternate sources?
Yep, I'll take you through that.
Maybe I missed
No, you're
your
not.
discussion on
And
that.
it's kind of a broad idea here. So Community Preservation Act funds, you can use up to 5% of your annual allocation for admin costs. We have some staff members who are putting a decent amount of time into admin costs for CPA, and we haven't been capturing that from their salaries. So I'd like to do that with the assistant planner and with the administrative assistant. So Bella Yeager and Lori Picard are putting a decent amount of time. So that could capture $10,000. It's not huge, but I think it's something allowable and it makes sense. The assessors will be meeting next week, but they do want to see regular return of overlay surplus into either into the budget or wherever else. We did do $60,000 in November, but there's a decent amount there, and it could be considered all right to do another 20,000. We have to decide if we were comfortable doing this again, but last November we did the cemetery sale of lots at 9,500 to cover the cemetery budget line in DPW. We could do that again if the cemetery commission is comfortable with that.
So just remind me.
Yep.
The
That's fine.
cemetery sale lots were selling
One-time.
more, or
I'm sorry, the question was?
are we selling more lots? Is that what?
No,
that
it's a line. It's a historic amount that they have from selling lots in the past. They are still selling lots as far as I'm aware,
We
but
still have them.
and they still have it. But
We expanded it, right?
So there's still, there's money in an account
there's money in this
from
account. so
sale of cemetery
That's
plots
what I'm trying to
that we
figure
could
out.
pull money out of.
I don't think we should think of it as an entirely renewable source. I don't think
Right.
we'll always be getting it, but it is an account that we have that we don't use much of. And
Okay.
we used it last year. We could use it again and still be in a decent position. But we don't want to make a habit of it forever, I would say.
And what do we use that money for, if not for this?
I think it just sits there.
Just sits there?
Use it for, say, if there were capital improvements that needed to happen. I mean, our chair of our cemetery commission is here in case he has any thoughts. But changing hats. But yeah, I mean, again, I wouldn't want to make a long-term habit out of it, but it is
Okay.
a source that came to mind.
So if there was some expense that needed to happen for one of our cemeteries, we have some money sitting in an account that we could possibly do that with.
That's right. And at the same time, like, we also made a nice investment last year from Community Preservation Act funds
Right.
for our cemeteries. You know, that's a project that'll be happening
This
this
summer,
year.
yeah.
You know, we have some decent sources to help our cemeteries. If we ever needed to, pull free cash to do something there, we probably could. So I think it's defensible, but again, it's a small amount of money. We'd have to decide if we want to bother with it. Using water sewer enterprise to pay for a quarter of the assistant collector's salary. The assistant collector will be spending a lot of time this year on water sewer billing. And so I think it's understandable to go in that direction.
Because
We
we
don't
went,
charge anything to water and sewer?
For that position, we haven't in the past.
I thought we used to.
are we quarterly billing that this year now?
Quarterly billing.
So that's extra work for them because
Extra
we're
work.
going to quarterly billing, right?
Yep, that'll be extra work.
We did do it in the past. I'm
So
sure of that.
That makes sense.
We have.
And it's possible that it's being collected
And I'm just
from
trying to
the
figure out,
offset.
like, why'd we stop?
Yeah, and it's possible that it's in that offset number that I have, but I'll go through and make sure that we're not double
Okay.
counting it. We don't want to double count that, but
No. I mean, I think
I didn't
it's
see it
a
in the
reasonable
offset number.
idea. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
we also had some changes in that position. We had that assistant treasurer position that then we zeroed out last year. I
Yes.
think it could be part of it. I don't know.
Right.
I'm proposing using a small amount of cable enterprise funds just for maintenance, utilities. Just we hadn't been capturing that in the past, from what I can tell. You can talk to John if he is okay with that. We have money from Tree Works that we had. This is our cannabis money that we had set aside to go towards the carpet project at the schools. That's no longer necessary because I came in so far under budget. So that money is just sitting out there. If we wanted to use it as a one-time offset for any budget, we could. It's also money that's flexible, and that's a nice thing to have. But it's something that I'm saying we could use this year to deal with this deficit. So that's the alternate sources line, $94,000.
Thank you.
Cuts. So this is cuts that I have found in the budget since it was first presented. And I'm really focusing on larger things here. So health insurance, because there will be some layoffs in the schools and because of some other fine tuning from the interim budget to the final, I think it's coming down by about 20,000. So the Public Works Professional Services had kind of overinflated from last year. We can bring that down $18,000 and still have plenty. Cuts across departments is just, if we do the game, which I think is worth doing, of just looking at, is there $1,000 here, $500 here that we can bring down each budget? That'll get us around $20,000 total, because we can't think of it as a large solution. We're not going to cut office supplies to get out of this issue. But if you do that in enough departments, you do end up with around $20,000, and I feel confident in saying that. The building inspector salary can come down by $15,000 if we change that from 33-hour-a-week position to 19. Could probably even come down more than that, but I think we should leave some room for it because we want to make sure we find a good candidate, and we can talk about what that'll look like.
So can you just, so currently, the former
You can say it. Yeah.
Kyle worked 33 hours.
3 hours a week. Yeah.
And so what you guys are proposing is that, or maybe to cut it back to 19.
Yeah.
From early discussions I've had with internal and external folks, it looks like we could. And part of that is because, they're the zoning enforcement officer as well, but there's now a really good amount of support on the zoning from both having our assistant planner, from having a engaged counsel, and then our administrative assistants really done a lot to educate yourself in the zoning as well. We have some support there on the zoning. So you can, while the zoning enforcement officer has to make the final decision, they're getting some decent support from the planning staff, which is nice. And then there's been some administrative support from that planning office as well, which is nice. So I think that adds enough support that we can bring that down. This is eventually your decision, but our finance reserve is $40,000. We've used between $30,000 and $35,000 of that in the past. If we cut it down by $10,000, we'll probably be okay, but that's up to you. And then legal, I had increased by $20,000 because of some expected higher legal costs for next year, together with a settlement that's been hanging out for a while, and with the fact that I'll be proposing a separate special article to deal with our Route 5 project. I don't think we need $50,000 in legal. I think we need $20,000, but then to set aside other money for the Route 5 project, if that sounds good. So that'll be $20,000 in savings from my initial budget. So these are just big items that I wanted to draw your attention to, but obviously we should spend some time going through the budget program.
Just on the other side, what are we doing on unemployment?
That's a great question.
The question.
Unemployment, sorry.
What should we do about unemployment, considering
Have to increase?
Yeah.
it's going to have to?
Yeah.
Now, unemployment, we have both a line item and we have an unemployment trust that exists. Any unemployment funds we don't spend each year go into the unemployment trust. So if you budget $25,000, you spent $25,000 goes into that trust. The trust sits at $108,000 right now, which is nice. The budget we usually put aside is $25,000. And I'm recommending we put $25,000 into the budget for this year, but that we also, what's that?
Use the trust if we
Use the trust and then set an additional amount aside, probably from free cash, or we can decide from what, but a separate amount aside in free cash to replenish that trust, just so we have it directly in the trust in case we have to pull from it a lot this year with those layoffs with the schools. The total, from what I can tell, working with our treasurer's office, the total liability from what it looks like right now for those educational positions would be about $134,000. So if we have $25,000 budgeted, $108,000 in the trust, you're basically there, but we don't want the trust to go to nothing. So I'm going to recommend.
And that's if they take all, 20 weeks
the total
or whatever
liability,
that
30
they're
weeks,
30 weeks, whatever they're entitled to.
30 weeks.
So
at
if
the
somebody gets a
maximum
job,
they're not taking.
they're not going to take all that. So if somebody gets a job starting in September,
Yep.
in another district, then we don't have to, they're done with unemployment.
Yep.
Well, kinda.
Now the question is, when does
Unless they-
unemployment start?
They will be employees through the end of August.
Correct.
Yep.
But if you take another job and then you get laid off from that job, we're still on the hook.
I get that, but
Yeah.
but
I didn't
there's
think about that,
there's a
but yeah.
possibility that people could get a job, and
Hopefully
but
very
how long
strong
would you be on the hook for though, Shen? If they were there for a year and then got laid off, are you still on the hook?
It just depends on how long it goes for.
Okay, yeah.
You,
So the
you
hope-
wouldn't be fully on the hook.
So the hope is
you're prorated on the
right.
hook.
So the hope is
depending on
the hope is that we have really good educators that can find another job someplace else.
Yeah. And then the question is, how confident are you in that, and how much of the liability do you?
Well,
want
I'm not saying we
funded?
should be confident, but I'm just working through in my own mind that
You should budget conservatively.
yeah.
That's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the recommendation would be essentially to have the whole thing covered in the trust, budget at the 25,000, because without even thinking of those positions, because we
Yeah.
could have other things that come up like we always do.
Right.
And then have the entire liability covered in the trust.
Right. Well, unemployment is not solely necessarily a function of laying people off.
For sure. Yeah, we typically pay.
People could file unemployment claims.
Yeah, we'll pay between 10 and 20,000 most years in that, because things happen. Account closings, this is very straightforward. Smith Academy carpets came in under budget. Trash compactor is going to come in under budget. Police cruiser is going to come in significantly under budget. We had $84,000 from last year's special article. We're going to come in at around $60,000. So we'll have some money there that we can put into this year's budget if we want to go in this direction.
We have that vehicle yet?
Yes, we have the vehicle. And we just paid for it for some reason. They never sent us an invoice. So we never should have asked.
So is it on the road or is it still getting its work done?
I can't answer that. I wish
Okay.
I knew. Yeah, sorry.
It is operational?
There we go.
All the paints and everything's been done to it? Okay, all right.
What about the trash compactor? Is that done or not?
Yeah, the trash compactor, the main portion of it is done. We're using those funds to just fully equip it with some new bins and other things. So that will all be done in the next month or two. So that's in the right direction.
Okay.
And then right now, as I said, this is my least preferred method. We have $650,000 in stabilization right now. We have, and I'll go over free cash in more detail. The current proposal from me includes $200,000 of free cash. And if you put all of that together, we're still $143,000 short, which I'm trying to close further. And I think part of that will come from nailing down exactly what the offsets are. We should also talk about leases in the capital plan, because right now I'm covering the new vehicles that we'd like to purchase. And we can talk about if we'd like to wait on that or not.
Now you might be reading this incorrectly, but your general fund shortfall for FY27 is $481,000.
Yeah, I did this after I already made those cuts that I alluded to here.
Okay,
And it's not exactly right, but
We're good.
work with this number for now, this one from here.
okay.
And then I'll update the workbook.
Fine tune things
I'll
out.
have the accountants update their worksheet. We'll have the double check, and then we'll get to an exact number.
Did you, I'm sure you did, but did you comb through the general budget to see if there's some one-time costs in there that we could comfortably use free cash for? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I went through pretty obsessively to both look at areas,
Anything that,
the things that I pointed out before. So public works, professional services, the legal line, things like that.
I mean,
There's maybe more.
at some level, at least a portion of your health insurance increase you're hoping is one time. If this goes up
It's a great question.
If this goes up 12% a year for the next 5 years, you're going to have
It can't.
to,
It
you're going to
can't.
have to make some real serious changes in the way you run the town. You know, like, I
Right.
mean, that's not, so presumably at some
Yeah.
point it falls back into a normal line of, 5, 6,
7, yeah.
7%, whatever is the norm, but it's hard to imagine it stays at 12, 15% a year. If it does, we have to radically reevaluate things, because
Yes.
that won't work.
I agree with that.
So in some ways, at least a portion of that is.
Because the Hampshire County Trust isn't the only insurance form that's under the gun. I mean, even the GIC is
Right.
running shortfalls in their
Right.
insurance money. So it's not just the Hampshire County Trust that's having issues. Yeah. Huh?
It is not the only
No.
one.
So-
Everyone's having issues right now.
Yeah. Everybody says, oh, it was jumping on the GIC bandwagon, but they're in a similar situation as Hampshire County Trust as far as the amount of.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have 40% increase.
No, but
their
their
premiums-
bottom line isn't any.
Their premiums are higher
Yeah.
for a lot of comparable plans.
Right.
So
Can you go back to that last slide, whatever, the one that showed,
the proposed,
yeah, no, not that.
No?
Which one?
which one?
Brother, now my brain is not.
We had this. We had,
The stabilization and the free cash.
sure.
So the stabilization, you just put,
I put what I'm comfortable with, but to be honest, there's $650,000 here.
that's what I
And
wanted
in
to
free
know.
cash, actually, now's not a bad time to talk about free cash, if that's okay.
I mean, me personally, I'd rather keep stabilization there and push up free cash.
Yeah.
But
I
that
mean,
would
There's
be,
no reason to,
So let me show you where free cash is at right now. if it's
that's
helpful.
one pocket
We
to
were-
another anyway, if you're really, in the end, I mean.
right.
All right. So our free cash was certified last year. I think folks see this somewhat all right?
Yeah.
Free cash was certified at $1,059,995. Our accountants have asked that we use $92,000 to correct an issue that was made years ago and never fixed, when $92,000 was marked as being taken out of free cash but never actually moved. So we need to correct for that. The auditors would like to see us do that, and I think we probably should. I'm currently budgeting $94,000 for health insurance for this year. As a reminder, we didn't budget enough for that mid-year 20% increase. It was only $94,000 more, which is actually pretty good considering how much more it's costing us. But I'm currently budgeting that from free cash. We could also see if we can make some internal transfers from our current budget. That's also an option. Same thing with snow and ice. Marlo is confident that he can find half of this amount from his current budget instead of transferring it all from free cash. So he thinks that our total snow and ice liability or his total snow and ice number for free cash, he thinks should be around $35,000, which would be great because we've been at 100 for the last 2 years. So,
But we're really at 70. We're just finding it somewhere else.
I know, but
Which
it would be great
I
if it's not.
I mean,
from
it
free
would
cash.
be, but yeah.
And to be
Just-
very clear, yeah,
Just remember that probably closed to free cash this year,
Mm-hmm.
which means next year you aren't going to have it in
That's
free
true.
cash.
And we could
So
do
you're
this
gonna
from
be
free
short
cash this
of free
year.
cash.
That's an option.
Because we've always done it from free cash.
Right.
We have. And I will say, you are hitting at something important, that the more we do this, using your free cash
Right.
from this year, and the more we make transfers from other lines, we might not have a lot of free cash next year. It
Right.
might be pretty small. So we should just be aware of that we're not always going to have tons of
Right,
free cash
as we
to use.
tighten up, free cash all comes from money that's unspent in the budget.
And?
Basically.
And revenue that came in higher than
That we
expected,
didn't expect, right?
which is great.
Don't forget, part of that $1.1 million is that we didn't spend
Yes.
$500,000 of our free cash last year.
That's right.
Right.
So
We ended up at 567, I think.
And so and the other thing is, depending on what we decide that we're not going to spend out of that this year,
Yep.
that'll still be there next year.
Yep.
So let's say the number is 400,000 this year, that we say we're not going to touch that.
Yep.
We're going to leave it.
That's our base.
That's our base. going into next year. I don't see it any at all that we're going to spend all that free cash.
No, all I'm saying though is that when you shrink lines,
I'm 100% with
you
you.
reduce your future free cash because
No,
that's
right.
where it's coming from.
Right. Yeah.
And also last year, our free cash number was healthy like it is this year, and we put 100,000 into stabilization, which is
Right.
great too. So
Yes.
that stabilization number is where it's at because we're in part.
Right.
we were
And
able to spend it last year.
quite truthfully, the if you look at the capital plan for the next 5 years, there's not a lot of smaller kind of things on there right now. Anything that's on there is going to be big money that you're going to have to do some sort of a debt exclusion or override or whatever to get any of those things done. So if you have a couple $100,000 in free cash expenses every year, that's really where we're at. I mean, we knocked a lot of stuff off of that capital plan last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Between what we bought, we spent money on, plus the debt exclusion for the schools, for the parking lots, that kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff came off of that capital plan last year.
Stuff that was on there for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
Like those parking lots. that were
Exactly.
Going
So-
for like 10 years.
You know,
Plus, we also got like 900,000 infrastructure money a couple of years ago that we were able to use that helped us
right.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So current plan shows 68,500 from free cash to snow and ice. We could do less if we wanted to and make up some of it from this year's budget. I'd still like to do the OPEB reserve transfer because I think this is a liability that'll be out there forever. It's a good idea to at least stay on track with our modest contribution. I am not right now budgeting for anything to go to stabilization, considering we're talking about potentially even using it. So we don't need to put towards it, but I would
I
rather,
think you should
but-
just get rid of the line for this year, to be honest with you.
see that there just so I'm reminded of my own personal failings, but I'm a glutton for punishment. So right now I have $200,000 for budget supplement. So that's the free cash going towards our FY27 budget. We'll talk about that. This is a real budget breaker, $2,790 for the prior year's bill.
Yeah.
Right now, looking at $92,000 for capital, that basically, David, funds all the things that you had in your capital list. And I'll show you what that looks like. We might play around with this number. I have $60,000 right now for Route 5 expenses, but what I also like to do is we have a $90,000 line that was put out last year for MS4 work. We still haven't touched that yet, and I think it's going to take longer. So I'd be comfortable moving some of that to Route 5 expenses too. I'd leave it to this group to think how much we want there, but that would get us to at least like 105, maybe more. But
Could we cover all of it out of MS4 work?
we can move to the full 90 if we wanted to. It's just a question of when we're going to start doing some of that MS4 money, doing some of that MS4 work, which I think
What is the MS for? Sorry.
that's some compliance and reporting that we need to do in new systems on our small sewer system. Essentially, the state
Yes.
issues us a permit for having a sewer system, and we need to show compliance on that. So I think we need to figure out what we want that Route 5 number to be.
Yeah, could we just move that 60,000 rather than the full 90
Yeah,
and just fund that whole line?
yeah, I would do that, and we
Or
might
is
not
that
need to use
do
any
you
free
think that's
cash.
taking too much or?
No, it's really a question of what you want that Route 5 number to be, and I think we could get by with only $30,000 for this year with the MS4 money. I'd be comfortable with that.
What's already in there, Andrew?
90,
So that's what we appropriated last year?
yeah, and we haven't used any yet.
And what are the chances you're going to use 90 the next fiscal year?
I don't even know if we're going to use any.
I think they're small. I think it's something that we're working on.
Right.
It's somewhat on the back burner. Our engineering company DPC is doing that, but they're also working on our sewer plant and a number of other things for us. So I think it's the kind of thing that we'll work on when we can until someone tells us you have to get this done immediately.
Is
I
it
don't think that'll happen next year.
Is it something we can just reach out to Dave Prickett about and find
Yeah.
out? Like,
I'm comfortable with that.
We work better under the gun anyway. So.
And then we can calculate what we
because that would
think
be
the
that would be
legal's
nice
gonna
if we could satisfy that from the MS4 money.
Yeah. And we'll see what we think the legal and engineering money should be for next year. And I want to put it in its own,
But that's a separate
budget
article,
line.
correct?
what's that?
That's a separate article?
I would like to put a separate article for Route 5.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
For this year or next?
For FY27. I want our own
Legal
account
and engineering.
for Route 5, legal and engineering to help us figure out what we're going to do to mitigate the Route 5 project. And then ideally, all that money comes back to us in some kind of agreement.
Settlement.
I don't want to open too big a can of
Go for it.
worms, but does the state have any responsibility since they funded a big portion of that? Are they helping us in any way, or is that not even possible?
They've been very responsive and want to help, and we'll see if that translates into dollars.
Okay, that's
I
what I was
don't-
wondering.
I would not rule it out at all. I think it
Okay.
could absolutely happen.
I mean, that would be good.
Yeah.
We've been in contact with them.
Yeah, no,
They've been
that's
good.
awesome.
The MassWorks program staff and obviously our legislators have been very responsive, and they,
Because I would assume they're probably just as frustrated as you guys are. So,
they were shocked when I told them
Yeah.
where we're at, and they're not happy.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll figure out the right number there. $35,000 for that unemployment trust, like I talked about earlier. I think that's a modest contribution that would help me sleep more easily. And then Elm Court, we can talk about this, but there seemed to be interest from the board in moving forward with this. I'm going to put 60,000 just to round us up. Whoops, what did I do? Come on,
Yeah, there you go.
just for now. But
Is that for the cementing the floor thing again?
Shit.
Buttoning
it
up
would be
the building.
to get that building into usable space as a DPW
It'll be-
garage.
Concrete floor, electrical, and
Garage
door
doors.
openers. So it's actually weather tight and usable,
Yeah.
including like an apron out in front of it and all that stuff.
So we can decide if we want to do that this year, but I think there's a lot of good reasons to do so. And I have that separate from the rest of the capital plan. Capital expenses, woo,
We're that close to.
Oh, no,
It's one of
we
those.
would have, we all supported it last year. So,
Yeah,
so
we're
let's-
real close to finishing there. Let's-
capital expenses, we talked about fire radios, guardrail mower, debris loader, and then the fire department apparatus bay
So,
roof.
so Andrew, did you get Marlo's
Yep.
email about, okay. He's also hoping in his budget to have the money for the guardrail mower as well.
Yeah.
Out of this year's budget, leftover money.
I'm carrying it. We don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so everybody's up to speed, the apparatus bay roof, we have two choices there.
Right.
That's the metal roof cost.
This is the
The
metal,
asphalt
the higher one.
cost
right.
is 35.
Yeah.
So depending on which way you wanted to go with that. So that means no vehicles coming out of capital this year. Is that what you're telling? Or you're,
Yeah, this would be
Or you've got
only
another
vehicles
lease?
coming from leases. This
Okay.
would only be leases for vehicles.
right. So we've cut the budget, Marlo's budget for leases down because we're trying to save money there, correct?
We've cut the Marlowe's budget for leases down because 2 leases came off the books.
Yes.
2 packages.
And we weren't planning to put more on that, correct?
Well, I put them
Yeah, we've
on
done
there
that.
because it seemed like it seemed like that's the way the capital committee was leaning.
Right.
So I'm covering it.
Okay, so here's a thought.
Mhm.
Could we cover the first year of the lease payments out of free cash, and to try to save that Marlo's, the money in that line in Marlo's budget, and then restore that number back into his budget next year when hopefully our financial situation is a little bit better.
So you're starting even lower then.
What's that?
You'll be starting even lower behind the 8 ball.
It won't be better. I mean,
Well,
because
we won't
we're
have
gonna
some-
have to make up this $200,000 right off
Right off the bat.
bat. You know what I mean? So like, I think the lease question is really a question of like, have we done enough over the last 10 years or however long we've been doing it to get ourselves to a place where we can do less of it now? Like, can we do that?
Are you looking at the chief's vehicle and the mini loader? Is that what you're talking about?
That's correct.
Just those two pieces?
Just those 2 vehicles.
So so you're looking at about a $45,000 first year payment on those two.
I was carrying 40. I'll have to look at what the exact numbers are. And to be honest, I was carrying 30 because I was looking at the possibility of half of that lease payment coming from ambulance receipts reserved. But
Right.
we'd have to decide if that's really appropriate.
Can we do that?
I would say yes, because the vehicle belongs to the ambulance director / fire chief. And I think paying for part of it from that fund is appropriate, but we'd have to confirm with the accountants. And, I think it's also a question for the department head who's here. But I that's how I've been carrying it, but we can change it if we need to.
No, but it would be, I don't want to say legal, but it would be appropriate to do that.
That's my understanding from that.
From
That's
the
what our
accountants?
accountants told me
Okay.
when I,
All right.
but we can double check.
All right. Because I think that I have those numbers here. I'd have to, let me dig for a
Where's
minute.
the fire department apparatus bay roof? Which building is
The
that?
chief's, the fire chief's vehicle, if we did a 5-year lease, would be about $19,634 for the first year.
19634.
Yes. The mini loader is 12,000 more than that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to guess that that's going to be probably what, 21? Yeah, so probably 40 or 41, 42,000
Yeah.
would be the first year's lease payments on those two things.
Yep.
That's why I was wondering if I don't know. That was what my kind of an idea was if,
And to be honest,
yeah.
Dave, there's a chance that kind of all of the lease payments end up being made for free cash. When the accountants look at how do you apply free cash to a budget, they'll kind of look for capital expenses, one-time expenses that they feel more comfortable with. So it might just say, all right, all your leases for next year, let's put a special article together and have them paid for by free cash. That might be something they do with all of them. So it could already be counted in that 200
For this
line.
coming year.
That might be something the accountants recommend. Because when I say $200,000 in free cash to the budget, you kind of need a mechanism for that. And that might be what they recommend.
Oh,
But
okay. Oh,
that's-
okay. Using that $200,000 that you're recommending go towards the
When I
budget.
say $200,000 towards free cash, they might say you
Where-
do it to pay for that lease.
That
Where
would
do you have it
reduce-
as funding sources now?
I don't.
You
because
don't, you
I
just-
kind of have
okay.
it as a
Yep,
hypothetical.
okay.
But that wouldn't reduce would that reduce then Marlowe's line item in his budget for leases?
It would,
Not functionally.
Okay.
it would just change the funding sources.
Just the
Okay.
funding.
All right.
And if we wanted it to reduce it, then I'd list it here as
Right.
either another use of free cash. Yeah, I'd list it here as another use of free cash.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, if it goes in a funding source in the budget itself, it doesn't reduce the line at any time. It's just an
Instead of from
alt
taxation,
funding
it comes
source,
from free
correct.
cash.
And then presumably, unless you do the same thing again next year, you gotta move it over to taxation.
Right.
Can we look at debt just though for 1 second?
Yeah. Let's do it from here.
I guess my question just is the entirety of the sewer project.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Where is that?
That lives
Entirety
in,
of it excluded?
yes.
Yeah.
There are two different sewer pieces. Actually, yes, it should all be excluded. There's one piece I need to just confirm.
There's one piece that's separate though.
It's supposed to be $132,000 that comes from the town. I need to just confirm that that still counts as excluded debt, or if that counts as something that's supposed to come
That's
from
what
our
we did
budget.
the following year.
Right.
It's really just a part of our, the $132,000 I'm thinking of really just comes from our documents with USDA. They look for a town contribution of some kind. As long as I can still count that as part of the regular project here, we're fine. But if that needs to be counted from some other source rather than debt, then we start looking at, does that make sense to have come from water sewer enterprise? But that's another story.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what I'm sort of poking for here. Is there anything we can move to water and sewer rates? I mean, given that we've taken on the town has taken out $150,000 in debt payments to fund the sewer system solely at the expense of taxpayers.
And they did so, through a debt exclusion that
Right.
the taxpayers voted for. So most of that debt,
Yep.
even if we said, okay, now it's from water sewer, it wouldn't translate to general fund savings.
No, I
because we
understand
counted
that.
already as
Yeah, no, I understand that
Okay, cool.
part. The part I'm looking at though is that, is there anything that in water and sewer that the general fund is paying for?
interesting. Is there anything coming from water and sewer?
So
that's
either,
instead- yeah.
regular borrowing
Uh-huh.
could be one thing.
So let's look at a regular borrowing,
Vehicle,
because I was thinking about that today. Vehicle is leases are already captured by water sewer. If you could make the case that any of these are related in any way to water and sewer spending, then you could do that. Fire truck, fire mini pumper, or perhaps the Main Street culvert. There's a piece of stormwater, water drainage infrastructure there. You could try to make an argument that it's related to water sewer. I don't know if that would hold
I don't think so.
with a,
No.
I don't think so.
yeah.
So we're not doing,
Careless person.
we're not doing anything else, right? We're not doing the,
So,
like all the other sewer project, not the mechanicals, but the actual infrastructure stuff that we did is all paid off. It's the non-rotating biological contact or the grit convey, like all
Yeah,
that
sure.
stuff is all done.
That's being paid for through enterprise debt already, I believe.
is?
So wastewater, gravity thickener conversion, water filtration plant, those are already being paid out of water sewer. And then we've got, the rest of this, water transmission lines, that's excluded debt.
so explain to me again, the $12 million we're investing down there, it's all debt excluded. Why can't some of that come out of water and sewer?
It can,
It could,
but it doesn't help you with this question of what do I do about my general fund
just reduces the tax.
deficit with the
Just
levy limit.
reduces it.
It
It would
doesn't,
reduce the
it
tax.
doesn't reduce your,
Yeah, because it's not a general, it's, yeah.
It would
no, I
reduce,
get
it would
that.
reduce the tax rate and increase water and sewer rates presumably.
It would.
Or whatever,
would.
reduce the,
so it's a
excess
separate,
money
it's
or
a separate
whatever.
problem you're looking at.
It's a separate
solving there.
question, yeah.
You could do that
But
if
it
you
would
wanted to
reduce
give,
the tax rate.
it wouldn't
would
do
do that.
anything to, it would, but it wouldn't help you with your levy limit. If right now the big question we're talking about is how do we get under the levy limit, it doesn't help you with that.
no.
Right, and we're not, when are we capturing the full rate of the project?
I would say
Is
next year's tax
27 the
bills.
first year or 28?
28 will be the full impact.
And then at that point, yeah, I mean, at some point, whoever's on the Board of Selectmen, we need to decide how much of that actually comes from taxation and how much of it comes from rates. I mean, we had talked, I think that was a Dave Prickett, or I probably got his name wrong.
No, it's Dave Prickett. Yeah,
Conversation where, you could do, 40% from your water sewer
Yeah.
or, and then 60% from the town, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion that we probably can't happen until we fully take on the debt.
I will say this, the right time, there are two right times to have that conversation. One is once we see the full impact of the debt, but the other is in a couple weeks when we talk about setting the water sewer rates for next year. Because you want to set yourself in the position where there's enough revenue there to start doing that. So we'll come back to that when we come set the water sewer rates before July 1st. So we'll need to do that probably the first meeting in June.
Yeah.
Set those rates.
Great.
Okay.
So just so my colleagues are aware, one of the things on the capital plan is Ferry and King Street pump station emergency generators, which are things that need to happen. And it's a $650,000 expense, but there's hopefully going to be money left over in our grant from the USDA in the wastewater treatment to take care of that. or that would be a number that would be on our capital plan that we'd really have to be looking at in the next year or two.
And I will
make sure
say,
it does.
What is
the
it?
bids
They're
just came
backup
through.
generators for the Ferry and King Street pump stations.
Oh,
So we had that budget at 650 because of, and this is the one that we were rolling into the
Yes.
the project.
Yeah.
We had a budget at 650 because that's the number that our general contractor came back with. We went out to bid for that, and I think the full amount came in at around 350. So
Oh.
we're going to move forward with that
for the two?
for the two.
Yeah.
I was going to say
It's
650 for a generator?
That was just a
Holy.
number that was put in there by somebody else.
Well, it's the number that
Yeah.
our general contractor said they would do it for. It's
Right.
just they
It's
were already
But if you
positioned.
bid,
to
but you bid the
take our money.
project and now it's,
We bid it out, and our bids came back very competitive,
Okay.
and we can do it for
You bid it.
350.
yeah, that's great.
It's really great.
and that's grant money, so that's not going to cost us a nickel.
Doesn't cost the town anything. Yeah,
that's awesome.
it's the grant. So we're looking to spend.
Do
Our
we not
challenge
have-
now is to spend the rest of that grant.
Do we not
yeah.
have backup generators at those locations now?
I think it's for replacement of them. I
Yeah.
believe.
One other
We don't
quick,
have a backup generator on Route 5.
Oh, great.
one
Don't
other,
need one right now, right?
Currently don't need one, but I'm just saying, if we're looking to spend
looking
through
to
the rest
spend
of
some
that
more
grant,
money.
like, that might be an option there.
I love it.
Good thought.
one other capital plan, and Andrew, you and I have been in touch with this over, is the town hall flooring project.
Sure.
So a grant was, a CPA was put in a grant to replace that. They've denied it. Don't believe that they didn't get enough information, or they didn't, whatever. CPA
David's not bitter.
has considered it twice, and they're not going to fund it this year.
How much was it for? Was it like six?
$28,000.
Can't we just take that out of free cash and do it?
So that's.
I'd really rather not,
I-
because we
yeah.
can get it funded by CPA
I think
next year.
they'll go for it next year, but we have to put it off for a year.
That's how
but
I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Why do you think they'll change their mind next year?
Well,
We're going to be nicer next year.
we've brought them more information, which they requested. One of their members has already looked over and is supporting the fact that we put maple flooring down to match the maple flooring in the rest of the building, which would be historically correct.
We'll have a better application.
Yeah, it'll be they didn't like our application. They didn't like how they didn't get all the information they wanted in a timely fashion. And so,
And there were also legitimate questions about we were kind of building the plane as we were flying it.
Yeah.
And I think next year we'll be ready to go, which is good.
so
As long as we feel comfortable with waiting a year in the project, which I think we can. But
so
Well, do you feel that floor is unsafe in any way at this time?
what's that?
Do you feel that the floor is unsafe, would cause anybody to trip or get hurt when they walk in?
I don't think that's the issue. I think the only issue is how concerned are we about the asbestos?
Well, the only reason I brought it up, because if it was, then free
Right.
cash would be the way to go right
Yeah, I
away
think
and
that's
get it
probably,
done.
the concern is obviously it's crumbling, and I'm assuming the mastic in there has asbestos in it.
Yeah, both the mastic and the tile have asbestos.
if we can
So-
find an easy way to cover it for the year or something, maybe that would help. But
Just got to grind it. And the only way to get that asbestos out of that mastic is you got to almost like grind
They're
it.
going to replace, they're going to pull it all out.
Pull it all
It
out.
has to be a total abatement job.
I know
By
it's
an
got to be
abatement company.
abatement,
Right.
but you could
Go
guess
to,
it sits,
you could go to
it's
Home
not-
Depot and have a
shouldn't be
wall-to-wall
hazard,
carpet
right?
put over it.
Well,
Yeah, if you covered it with some carpet,
Yeah.
that would take care of it for a short term.
so I think one of the things we should discuss too is the roof on the fire apparatus bay. And since the chief's here, it might be a good time.
sure.
My general feeling with it, with the lifespan of shingles now, I think we could probably get away with asphalt shingles. Also taking into consideration that there is, between the comprehensive plan and it's in capital for future for a public safety complex somewhere in town that might not necessarily be that building, that if we were going with the cheaper option of the asphalt, we'd essentially save ourselves that extra money, $23,000, but also we can deal with the roof problem in another 20 years, whatever that building might be used for. If that building ever gets retrofitted, there's a dormer added to it, anything like that, it would just be a shame to cut into a metal roof for that when, you know, if we certainly could go with the cheaper option now, and then whatever happens with that building, even if it is in 20 years, we have to put a roof on it again, or 30 years, however long it is down the road, but it'd be a pretty substantial savings this year.
Which building is that?
It's just the general fire station.
Where all the trucks are
Truck
parked.
Like,
The bay.
why don't we just call it the fire
The
station?
apparatus
I
bay.
think of the fire station as where like the training room, everything is.
Yeah.
We're talking about the one with the engines in it,
Yeah,
right?
the actual apparatus bay.
The actual apparatus, okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
Somebody
I mean,
built a building that I'm not aware of.
it has 2 layers of asphalt shingles on it now, so it has to be stripped regardless, but it's lasted this long with asphalt on it. I think we can probably continue it with asphalt. I mean, what do you think, Chief?
My opinion would be to put it asphalt.
Great.
Save the, 35,000.
35,000 is the
Yeah.
quote from Florence Roofing to do that.
Perfect. To save $33,000, it sounds like it could be used somewhere else.
So maybe out of that, so that we're not having to find the additional 28,000 to do the tile, it's almost would be
You could do the tile.
tit for tat on that, so. The savings that you would see from doing the roof in asphalt instead of metal would essentially fund the tile project in the town hall.
The other thing you could do is just take care of the asbestos remediation and then wait for the rest of the projects. But I guess it's really, you do it all in one shot.
You gotta put something back down though, because you're pulling the tile out and the underlayment, which
Do
has
it all in
the,
one shot.
yeah.
Yeah, my only concern about that waiting for CPA is it feels like a reasonable offer to do it. The money feels reasonable.
To just do it for free cash?
No, I mean, like the 28,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money for that project, considering you're going to do abatement and everything. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
if you wait a year,
What happens?
is somebody, is the next price going to be 38,000?
But that would be CPA funds, not
Right.
free
And I
cash.
don't
Right.
care. Yeah.
I think that's the
Trade-off.
the crux of the issue is, personally, I want CPA to pay for it.
Right.
I don't think it should come out of free cash or anything else, like, because it's fixing a historical building which we've spent how many millions of dollars on.
And we can't fund that out of any of the leftover line item money from like the school boiler replacement or any of that stuff, right?
Oh, interesting. Probably not, because that was funded through debt exclusion, and we were pretty specific about what projects we were funding
Yeah.
on that in the debt exclusion ballot vote. But it can be reallocated. Once that project is done, and if we end up with extra money, we can vote to reallocate that in some way.
Right.
that
And
would
we've
go
already
to-
captured the
And we will.
leftover money from the carpet installation, right? Because there's money. left
Carpet
from that.
installation was
Yes.
was
That's already
3,000.
captured, yeah.
I have it in the budget.
Oh, yeah, it was like
Stuff.
3,500 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the CPA balance currently?
Like,
They're
And is it a
between,
time to
between-
start thinking about taking 0.5% off, or putting it to a vote of the town of taking 1% off that every year to come up with some of these shortfalls?
It's a great question, John, because I thought about that earlier this year. And the only reason I wouldn't suggest doing that right now is that our match is still really good. We're still getting, because we're at the 3%, we basically double our money from the state match at the moment. But if the state match ever starts decreasing, which it could now that there's more towns that are taking part in it, then it's something to think
I
about.
think we're in about the top 10% of match from the state
It's
compared to all the other cities and towns that do CPA. But I'm with 100%. There's about $3 million in the CPA account right now.
So our surcharge was 251 and final.
Some of it though can't be spent.
No. Yeah, some of it can't be
Because we
spent on
don't
this
have any projects.
on this project. Yeah,
No, I mean, like,
we're finally going to have a housing one on this year's
right.
Right.
warrant. So we've not spent any housing money out of that at all
Right.
since it was established.
But if we get the housing trust, we'll be able to transfer that money into that
Right.
housing trust and probably actually use it finally.
We'll have some live money.
well,
On that note, also, they can't spend the money if people don't bring projects.
Correct.
So people should bring more
Absolutely.
projects.
There's no
It's not a
question.
vindictive thing
No.
because they're not going to do the flooring. It's
Right.
just.
But I
people
will
need to
say
bring
that
more
if you,
projects.
if you do bring projects, they do still need to be well thought out and good applications.
Yeah.
Because I had 6 rejections this year.
Yeah.
And,
Not
Doesn't
like,
faze me.
not like what Andrew tried to pull.
yeah. You just have to be very thorough applications.
Yeah.
I still think we just spend the 28,000 or whatever and do the floor and get it done with. I mean, I'm frustrated with CPA too, but just get it done. I agree with Sean. It's small dollars. Next year it's going to be more. Yes, it's going to be CPA that might take it, but they had their chance.
Probably 32,000 next year.
Right.
Which would still be less than I thought going into the project and what it would cost. I figured it would be 50 grand or more.
Yep.
Because if there was asbestos in there.
Yeah.
But
can carry that
some
for
of the
now.
CPA members couldn't believe that it was only going to be like 12,000 something to do the abatement.
We can.
Did you have the paperwork on that? I said, yeah.
When you
There's they're going over it like a fine tooth
we
comb.
do those at work all the time, and literally, you never see them. They
Right.
come on Friday night, they tape the thing off, and they're gone by Monday morning. Like they'll have that done so fast. It's such a small area.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think we can certainly carry that for now, and if we need to make a change based on where the final position is looking like, we can do that. We can also ask the DPW director, Marlo, if he feels like he'd rather get it done this year, if he thinks we can wait, and it's kind of his call. I defer to this group.
If you put it on the warrant and the people decide
That's true.
if they want to use CPA and wait, or they want to use free cash, right? I mean, that's another way.
Well, it's unfortunate that it happens to be right in the entryway to the town hall that we spent millions of dollars on, and it looks like it does. You know
Doesn't
what I
look great.
mean? Like it's.
How many people walked over that floor coming in to watch a basketball game back in the day,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure it looked better then, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Place used to be packed.
Yeah.
Balcony was standing
Oh, yeah.
room only.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this gives you an idea of kind of what our free cash picture looks like. That would be, a decent amount of spending if we did this current version of the plan. And I think a few of these we still need to narrow in on. It would leave us $353,000 for next year, which isn't terrible. So,
No, I mean, just being realistic, it's probably important to do that because this may happen again next year. I mean, I'm not trying to be.
it's going to
doom
happen
and
next year if we don't
gloom.
make significant changes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, even if we do make significant changes, we don't know what the overall picture of next year is going to be like, and it seems like it might be slightly unpredictable.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
how are Medicaid cuts, potentially going to impact the state?
Mhm.
We're the top 4 states of risk of hospitals closing here.
Yikes.
So like, how are those things going to impact, the state's ability to continue funding things that they've been funding, and other stuff could happen.
Is the cold that you're coming from?
If insurance goes up another 12%, we're going to need.
Put my coat back on.
Well,
Need
they
money
got
for
the
that.
Yeah.
mini splits on, so.
Yeah.
You just thermostats over there.
It's it's like the air conditioning.
Raise
is
it
on,
up 2
actually.
degrees.
Looking at
My
it.
hands are freezing.
Nice. Okay. All right.
Oh, John's on it.
You would hope maybe that the funding, school funding formulas will maybe change for next year, and that the rural districts might get a little bit more help than they've been getting in the past.
Just generically speaking, though, if you just review where Hatfield sits in that, unless there is some kind of major infusion of money,
Right.
like there was the first time,
Right.
and all boats are being lifted,
Yeah.
where we are relative to foundation and stuff, it's just hard to imagine how.
That's the whole funding formula that needs to change. It's not even just infusion of more cash.
Yeah, I know, but it's really hard to get votes in the legislature to change the formula in any specific way unless you have cash to hold people harmless,
Right,
because it's
yeah.
hard to get people to vote to say, hey, we're going to take 20% from your school. Is that cool?
Yeah.
And you were going to give it to somebody else.
Right.
Like people don't want to do that funny enough. And so that's a problem, like unless you have large amounts of cash to push in there to move everybody up and some up more than others, it just makes it hard to make those adjustments, get the votes on any, because everyone is going to do the math eventually and go,
Yeah.
"Ee, I don't like that, you know? So, I mean, that's how they did it, just like regionalization.
Right.
Like that's how they did regionalization. You push a whole bunch of cash onto the table and nobody gets hurt, so everyone's okay with it. But without the cash, it makes it a lot different.
And without continuing that funding that they promised.
Well, right. I mean, but 10 years from now, you know,
Right.
dude, that's another person's problem. You know, It's not, you know, I got to worry about this election and the next one. You know?
Right.
Like that's kind of.
But
I mean,
it's true.
that's happened.
Washington just moves, depends on whoever's in the office, depends whether they're giving money to the states or they're not giving money to the states.
Well,
Whether
that's-
they're funding certain things or they're not funding stuff, which always puts us in turmoil because we never
It's a math,
know.
it's a math problem.
Well, and it's happened to many different things. Every time there's a change in the way you fund things, there's always weird outliers, right? So there's always some weird outlier in there who's getting hurt by it because of whatever their circumstance is. And usually how you fix that is not we go out and try to rewrite the whole formula to account for that one person, but we go, okay, we're going to put aside $250,000 a year and all the people who fall into that bucket. And there was a rural regional school aid thing for that.
Right.
That happened with the county sheriffs. It's happened throughout history. And what they do is they set aside a pot of money, and then you can draw out of that pot of money to make up for the problem. They used to, in ed funding, they call it the pothole account. But, you know, eventually, 15 years down the road, somebody says, well, why are we putting money in there? Because everyone's forgotten what the historic reason for that was 15 years ago, you know? So that's, without that money, though, it just makes it hard because somebody will get hurt.
Okay.
So are we thinking part of that 200,000 budget supplement from free cash, some of that could be considered health insurance, help in the health insurance side, or,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah. And I think, I'm not sure how much it matters what we apply it to. I think our accountants will help us figure out like what
Yeah, no,
makes sense, but
I like it
But
like
I think you're
this.
right. Yeah. And that 200,000 free cash, that's separate, obviously, from this 94,000 for this year's health
Well,
insurance.
because
Yeah,
that's this year's bill.
that's right.
Right.
Good. Just
And,
making sure.
you know, it's not like a necessarily a legal requirement that you use that one-time items either.
Right.
I mean, we could say,
No, I
we
mean,
could say we're using it to buffer the cost over 2 years.
I mean,
You know, you can do whatever.
other
you want.
communities I've worked in have just done it when you set the tax rate to say, all right, now we're going to use some free cash and we're going to bring the tax rate down by doing this. And that's not a great practice, but it's something that a lot of folks do. So it's fine. Great. Okay. So I think, I guess what I want to say is,
I just had a question.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put 10,000 in OPEB again.
that would be my recommendation, but that's up to all of you.
Do we need to capture that on the blue sheet that you had printed out for us? 'Cause it's not currently on
Great question. The reason I don't put that on there is because I'm recommending taking it from free cash rather than building into the budget.
Okay.
So I'm leaving that blank for now because it's not, if you put it in there as a budget expense, then it'll start throwing the budget off track. But yeah, but you know, great point. So I guess what I'd say is, even with all this,
We're still $143,000 short.
that's correct.
I guess that was probably alludes to my next question. So like the
Go for it.
public works line,
Yep.
that's just for expenditure, right? That's not salaries as well, or is it both?
No, that's basically a consulting line. The PW professional services.
No, the public works I'm on the blue sheet.
Yep. Sorry, on the blue sheet. That's everything. That's salaries and expenditures.
Okay, so that's the same across for all of the different departments.
All of the, yeah, and I can show you the specifics.
So, so to that point,
If it's helpful.
to Luke's point with salaries, so did you include any kind of COLA, any cost of
I don't think so.
any of that stuff?
This covers a 2.6% COLA.
Okay.
If
Great.
schools are doing 2.7, then I need to
do
update it. That's
something.
not a lot. it's not going to end up being a huge difference, but it carries a 2.6 COLA for all employees. I did keep boards and commissions stable at the 0%. I did not add an increase for them. We can talk about if you'd like to build that in. Typically we do. It's not a lot of money. I know.
Walk away.
It's typically, it's not a lot of money. It's not a big deal.
It's so little money.
At the same time, my thought
30
was,
cents more.
my thought was in a tough budget year, do we ask our board and commission members to take a level amount?
Lou can't take his,
I
that would
know.
probably fund all the boards and commissions
My waffle
for
20.
for
Sorry.
2.7.
It's already built in. Already built in.
2.6%.
Yeah. So I think that's a decision. If you'd like me to just model it with the raise for them,
I mean,
it's not a lot of money.
I've been
I
on
probably
this
should.
horse for a long time, like just in terms of this is not doing this is how you end up with somebody gets $1. You know what I mean? Because in 98, they got $1 and that was a lot of money
Yeah.
and it never changed
Yeah.
since then. And so that's how you wind up with these $150, $300 items in
Yeah.
there. And so I've been sort of promoting the idea we should always include them because, but the reality of that is it's never going to actually work because there's never actually ever enough money and it's never going to go up enough. We'll be here for another 200 years doing the same deal. So maybe what we should really do is at some point sit down and figure out what is a reasonable amount of money to do this thing. And should we just get rid of some of them? Like, is the $150 for the fence, is that attracting anyone? Is it making any difference or is it just, do we even need it?
Sure.
Yeah. And so maybe we could at some point go through all those and just try to figure out like which ones should really get paid and then we really pay those people something meaningful or get rid of them and not worry about the $200 for the fence viewer or whatever it is.
Good point.
I think it's a good point.
That's a good job for you, Johnny. Be the
Can
fence
can I ask another question?
Yes.
Since the fire chief's here, the $70,000 for ambulance with South County, since I don't pay attention a lot of the time, so we had some of that this year that we have to pay, is
No.
that correct?
Nothing in FY26. It'll all be in FY27. They have sent us a letter. South County has said that starting in FY27, that's right, Chief? Starting FY27,
Okay.
they will be charging us $350 for each call that comes to them from here that they respond to, even if it's canceled as they're coming. So that's roughly $70,000 is an estimate.
But it's based on 6 months worth of actuals from this year, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so it's a pretty,
It's a good estimate.
it's a solid
It's a
estimate.
good estimate.
Okay.
And how long is it, is this a contract that we have with South County? An
We're
agreement
going to
of
sign an
some kind,
agreement
a
with
mutual
them.
aid agreement or whatever?
Yeah, we're
that-
going to sign an agreement saying that we'll each charge each other $350 for calls to each other. So it's just,
For how long?
Next year.
we're going to
Just for
start with
one-
next year.
Just for 1 year?
Yep.
Just for 27.
Yeah.
So they could, if it continues in 28, they could come back and say it's $500 a call?
They could.
They could.
Okay, all right.
could.
Just
Okay.
And I think that's, when I say we need to look at all of our options for next year, we need to think about that.
Now, can I ask, now, some of that is because, to no fault of the fire department, just the inability to be able to cover the calls. And we've put some money in the budget in the last few years for staff or potential staff that we haven't, So I'm trying to figure out, is the 70,000 in addition to all that? Or are we going to continue to look to fill the positions that, you know what I'm trying to say?
So the chief put together 2 budgets
Bob,
this
you can
year.
step in and answer.
One of the budgets had, increases for staff that he thinks will help make us more competitive. I believe I took those numbers. I need to triple check to make sure, but, and we'll have to decide if we want to keep those higher
Per diem
rates.
numbers, right? We're talking about per diem people here.
So the whole budget is built with full-time and the per diems as a one and done. So that's a full coverage. I think to Daryl, your question is that are we going to reduce the amount on the other side by 70? You can, if we don't want to cover those. If one of those, the budget is built to go to a 16-hour a day, 7-day-a-week coverage.
Yep.
But working with predominantly per diem staff, they can't be forced, and that's our issue. We're having a hard time keeping full-time staff
Right.
as well.
So-
it leaves a lot of vacancies, and then we're not able to cover the
Right.
calls.
No, I'm not looking to reduce. I'm just looking to understand. That's all. I mean, so in the event that something changes and you're able to get more per diem people to come in, the money is there. And then if there's fewer times that we have to call South County, then that would be,
The 70,000 would
would reduce.
Right.
It would
Yeah.
revert back just like it always
Yeah.
does for the
No,
ambulance, whatever's.
thank you. I just wanted better
This number was
understanding.
based on how many times they had to call South County last year, if I understand
The
it.
first 6 months of FY '26 is what it was based off of.
Yeah, okay.
over this year.
Thank you. Appreciate
So
that.
those are the shifts that weren't covered in South County came in.
Or overnight,
And overnight.
or overnights when we don't staff, right?
For sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, so the current plan that I put together still, we need to find some additional funds, and whether I just take it from free cash or stabilization, or if we want to try to make further cuts, which I think makes sense, or,
Do you have,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, do you have the
Please.
breakout for the public works like you just had for public safety?
Yeah.
all right, so I do.
For the expenditures?
Did I go right past it? Here we are.
There it is.
You'll see the biggest change is that we had this capital outlay, that's the leases, and that decreases. That's the biggest, and we knew that change was coming. There's $100,000 in leases coming off the books.
Oh,
Okay.
So that's
Can we
nice.
do, I guess, education as well? Let's just do all the big ones,
Sure.
just so we
Yeah,
can
that
see.
were, so we took $100,000 worth of leases off the books and we're not planning on putting them back on.
Right now, we're covering $30,000 more.
Okay.
Right now, I'm carrying
Right.
30,000. Yep. So we'll save 70,000 in leases alone. Plan. Education, and just the way that education works in our budget is it all shows up as an expense because we only see the big number. So 2026, keep it level. So it went up $150,000 last year. This year it stays level. Vocational, I have it as an $80,000 decrease based on the numbers that we're going to spend this year. And I'm hopeful that that's where we come in, but we'll see what they tell us to budget for in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I still think this is the right number. We'll see.
We have no control over.
But you don't have transportation in there, do you?
The 590 covers transpo.
it's
It's both.
The 590, okay,
Yeah, I didn't break it out.
the 590 is just vocational transportation.
and tuition.
Vocational tuition and transportation,
Tuition and-
All in,
okay,
right.
Yeah,
all in one.
The regular busing comes out of
no, yeah, school budget, yeah.
I probably should make a habit of showing here. You know, they had this in 25. This was transportation. This was,
That's why I was asking, because you have the numbers in those two budgets.
I had it in one, yeah.
yeah.
But I don't have that broken down for last year or this year.
That's okay.
Would it be helpful to see the rest of these?
I'm just looking at the big ticket stuff
Yeah.
on here.
When you say personal services, that's salaries, correct?
Salaries, personnel, really.
Personnel services, yeah.
Personal services, funny. Happy to dig into any of these.
I personally think, well, we can wait till Sean comes back, but we had a week or so to kind of percolate some of this and look at the numbers and
And you really have, I mean, if we need to have another meeting on the 21st, we can, or if finance wants their own meeting as well, we can. The biggest question tonight, honestly, is because we only have until April 14th to decide on this. If you wanted to take the route of an override for any of this, that's on the table. You know, if you feel like the best way to close that $140,000 or call it 340 and not use any free cash, you could do an override. I don't think there's any appetite for that, but we have to discuss that as an option for this board.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, in my mind, if we could get to 143, like we must be able to get to the balanced budget from there. But you know, if we're talking about having a long-term deficit of some amount, one way you can plug that deficit is by doing an override, and then it goes away. But that's up to us to decide.
yeah.
With the previous override and the debt exclusion, I don't think you're going to get much support
that.
for any kind of a
Yeah,
debt exclusion override right now.
Yep.
Unless you had some big ticket item that needed to be taken care of, like the roof on the elementary school or something like that.
Plus, we've had to increase some of the water, sewer.
Oh, yeah.
and
yeah. Sean, when are we meeting again? Are we meeting next week to go over some of this stuff?
We certainly could.
Well, we have April 14th set up as a joint meeting. If you
Oh,
if
it
that
is.
works
We're
for everyone
already
to come.
set up for next week.
We're not,
We haven't posted. But.
we haven't posted.
I think we should meet. Well, the 14th.
We should meet, no question.
And we're not right now, are you right now meeting on the 21st?
We are not planning to meet the 21st.
Planning to meet the 28th, correct?
Yeah, the 28th.
Yeah.
we
To
have
finalize-
pencils down.
To finalize the warrant.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm not available on the 21st.
No, I'm just,
We don't, I mean, we can finalize the warrant, that doesn't mean.
it's
the
school
budget has-
vacation week.
That doesn't mean the budget has to be done.
So, but if we meet,
No, but yeah, the warrant has
next
to be
week.
done.
Yeah,
I think given a week, we
Yeah,
should
we need to meet.
We should meet on the 14th.
we're going to meet on the 14th, or is that what people want to do?
Yeah, join the select board on the 14th.
That works for me.
I mean, I think this has been a useful format so far, I'd say. Does anyone want to recognize the?
Oh, yeah.
So just looking at it, just because I'm sitting here and that's why I come to these meetings.
Yep.
So fire and ambulance, by looking at those numbers up there, that does not include the ambulance budget. I don't know if you have that somewhere else in your workbook. I know it's
Right.
funded out of,
And this is the first year I've done this, but I want to carry ambulance separate from fire. I think it's going to be an easier way, at least on this format.
Okay.
It's easier because then I can just see what's the total and carry that for receipts reserved.
okay. And then the next question was, this is as submitted, right, by the department heads? You did not go through and make any cuts to what's on this sheet as of right now?
I have made some cuts and I need to review it with every department head to go through. But and since you're here, I want to make sure, does this look like your budget that you submitted with the higher numbers for, I don't know if you can see this. All right.
125.
125 for part-time salaries.
Broken down into two spots. Yes, that was the right number.
Okay.
I was more concerned about my expense.
Yeah.
As it's sitting here, that's a $13,000 drop over what I submitted. On that form, you had like 25,720, I think it was.
Let's
So I'm just,
you and I go over that then. It shouldn't be 13,000. That seems excessive.
yeah, mine estimated is 38,945, so. And that fire ambulance expense line there.
Okay.
That's what kind of caught my attention.
38,945.
Correct, that's as submitted.
Do you think that would be captured by having ambulance together or no?
Nope, those are
Okay.
two separate budgets. That's the actual line 19 on that screen,
All right, go over
so,
this.
okay,
I didn't think I did anything significant there, so I might be missing something.
okay.
So we'll check. I mean, I'm comparing requests to, okay.
I mean, we could talk after, I just want to make sure that it's
I
finance.
see a
committee
couple
select
small
board.
cuts, so we can go over those and see if they make sense. The only one I cut that looks sizable is this radio pager maintenance. And I only did that because I wondered if that was going to be covered by the capital expense, if you need less maintenance. because we're planning on spending the capital.
No, that's still pager replacement.
You need the full amount?
425 a piece.
You still need the full amount.
So,
Got it.
I mean, I could probably drop 1,000 if I have to.
Okay. I'll keep the full amount for now. It's not a problem.
But yeah, that number hit on the expense. It was $13,000 less.
Right. I don't see why that would be the case. So we'll have to go over this and
Okay.
figure out why that would be so much lower.
Okay.
It's also possible I was covering some of it as capital instead of expense, but we'll check. That actually might be the difference, but we'll check.
And you did get the, from last year, we had a little issue with the.
If COLAs go through.
You need
all of those
COLAs
that are in
for-
these salary lines, because last year we were missing one line that was 17,500 that never got the 2.6%.
You need it for the intermittent employees and for training.
Correct.
Yeah, training was the one I missed last year. Yep,
Yep, correct.
got it.
Just want to make sure so that you guys.
Nope, not a problem. We'll keep this going.
Why are the training salaries separate from the?
Training gets paid out, as like
A
a,
different rate?
Is it different?
yeah, different rate.
Substantially less, right?
That makes sense. I mean, I don't know if it makes sense, but
But not
makes
for
sense
everybody.
while they're separate, why they're separate then.
But not for everybody.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine. Just for your per diem employees?
So do you have any other reactions
Just the
to
firefighters.
this, things you want me to look into over the next week? 'Cause I know we'll talk about this again in a week, but I'm happy to meet with anybody, during the next week, whatever, if that's helpful. But any other things you want me to be looking at so we can figure out how to close this?
I mean, trimming out 143,000 is not going to be a super easy task here.
No, no.
You
the last-
can you send these things to us, or
Yeah,
do you
of
want
course.
to not do
course.
that?
Do we have an idea of what comprised this year's free cash?
Yeah,
The only reason I ask that is then maybe it gives us an idea of areas we could possibly look at. I don't know.
Gives you
It's
some
just a
insight
thought.
into what's coming in next year too.
John, can you
Absolutely.
pause my sharing for a second? Just so I can try to find a document. Thanks. It's still showing.
Me up there?
Yeah. It's not a big deal, but. So yeah, let me find, because what I have is comparison of budget to actuals from FY26 or for FY25. And we can go through that. Oh, son of a. All right, John, you can let me share again. Okay, the very big caveat on this is that because of just how our accounting appears and how some transfers happened,
So,
it'll look like we had, how much? 1 million unspent.
Yeah.
It was closer, I think, to 500,000.
Right, because
Like
500,000
530,000 or something was
carried
still
over.
free cash.
Right.
The end of year transfers.
Yeah, it's encumbrances and transfers. The free cash is separate. The big one, if you go to show up as education. No, it's just with schools, I think. So school encumbrances are this minus $444,000. So it looks like you see this unexpended $444,000 from the schools. It balances out with this encumbrance that they use to pay teachers in July and August. That makes it look like there's more cash available in the schools than there really is. I got very excited when I saw that number last year and thought we could cut things down. It doesn't really exist. But yeah, you can go through here and you can see the unexpended balance at the end of the year in all of our departments. And I can send this to you so you all have it. But this helps you kind of see where free cash comes from. And you'll see it's kind of small amounts across the board. From ambulance, all of that goes into the receipts reserved and ambulance trust. If it's unspent.
So is that budget or is that?
This column here is unexpended by the end of the year. And you can see here the variance. So 68%, that means 68% of their budget was spent.
Right.
66% of the budget was spent. That should have all been paid. Hopefully it was. That's a salary. All salaries should be paid by this point. So that's something on us. But yeah, so you might see, that's not a helpful one, ambulance. So I'll send this to you so you can look through and see if anything pops out. But I've gone through this a lot, and I did in November as well to try to figure out, where are there areas where we can try to reduce our budget. And a lot of it's already been found. For instance, like this tax title line, that's been cut considerably because we also have a revolving account for that. And some of it, like how much do you want to cut legal down? Because you just don't know how much you're going to need to spend there. And that's the case with a lot of these accounts.
Right.
It's tough because a lot of like the ones that had a little more left over have been spent or have been cut or reallocated in some way. There's not a lot of fat left in the budget, I would say. But if anyone can find any, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well.
The other thing I'll do is once we have kind of honed in on what we want our increase to be, the 2.7%, I'll work with our treasurer's office to make sure that we're calculating an actual salary for each line, like how much will we be spending based on the rate and the number of pay days next year, so that we have an actual number for most of them instead of keeping extra. Because like if somebody budgets 50,000 for the next year, I'm adding 50,000 plus 2.7%. But if they didn't spend that 50,000, then we should actually be a little lower going up to that. So you can find a little savings in there. Not a ton.
So just to clarify for my brain, so that 2.6 or 2.7% would be for non-union, right?
Yes.
And non-contractual.
Yes.
Okay.
Non-union, non-contractual.
Okay.
And it sounds like we want to include boards and commissions in that 2.7, which is fine with me.
Yeah, which is going to be about $30.
It's not going to be a lot.
Am I thinking incorrectly? Didn't our accountant number come down for this year?
Yep.
So
I'm carrying
we captured it already.
we're going to be at 87,000. Yeah.
right.
I have
rather
that.
than the 100.
And this is last year's report of the budget. This is FY25, what we spent compared to what we budgeted.
Yeah.
So that's lower than FY26's budget and lower than 27's budget. But that is a source of savings. So I didn't include that in a cut on my list because I already was building that in when I got the initial deficit, unfortunately. So yeah, happy to send this around and we can
Yeah, that'll be
evaluate
great.
further.
Not a lot of,
That'll be something to fall asleep to.
not a lot of
Not a ton of revenue.
dollar items here.
No,
Sitting in the
no.
chair.
When you get
The
down to
only
that
glow in the room
final
will be your laptop looking at
$143,000
you.
you need to find, it's rough. It's, there's a few more things that I'll need to do just to make sure we have the right numbers. And, I can work with department heads to see if they have any more room to cut a little bit and
Well,
at their
yeah,
lines,
and
but-
we haven't looked at any increases yet. Right? So we haven't gone through.
Well, that's
all
a good point.
The budget, because there are increases in some of these budgets. We haven't gone through and
That's
called
correct.
those out yet,
That's correct.
which we could do to see where we wind up there.
Oh, yeah, that's
I mean,
a really
I
good
would
point.
I mean, to use as an example,
Yeah.
the fire chief, I've used his higher numbers and we haven't made a decision yet if we're going to adopt that yet. There's, an a couple increases for staff that we haven't discussed yet. Some we'll need
I'm
to.
sure there's others too. I mean, there's COA,
The
right?
COA,
Assessors.
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 So, I mean, if
Town-
finance wants to
town
have another
clerk.
meeting to go over some of those that
Did
you control.
Did they
yeah.
increase the planning, the person that? did-
Planner,
Yeah.
assistant planner.
Yeah,
So we might just have to look at those and see.
Yep.
right.
And if you do all of those, to be realistic, that can maybe find us another $20,000, maybe more.
It's
But
not gonna- right,
again, we got to get down to the 0 from 143.
Right.
And that's if you are comfortable with the rest of the plan I laid out. If you thought any of that needs to be revised, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any better suggestions at the moment.
No.
And we need to.
Well, some of the savings up there was money coming back from supplies, but I don't know how much on supplies could be actually cut.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of said like,
Probably a small amount.
yeah, I mean, if you look around at every budget and think, bank fees here, supplies here, professional development here, that can get you $20,000 total, I think. I think that's the realistic amount. And that's kind of what I'm carrying in.
Yeah, it looked like
My goal.
6%. I mean, from their supply budgets, which still wouldn't amount to 140.
No, it's a little bit and it starts to add up, but it's not everything.
And you could look at.
Do we expect to see any sort of significant utility savings with these new boilers that we got at the school? Anything measurable?
That's a good question. And I don't know I don't see their line items, so I can ask what they've got.
Well,
I'm just thinking if it's a brand new upgrade, or are we going to see, even if it's
Offset
a little
by-
bit?
Yeah, you'll see
Increases,
savings on usage, but then the gas prices have gone up.
That's
So
true, yeah.
it's,
well, don't we see some savings because
Crazy.
of the solar panels or over there on the roof or?
At the high school roof, there are some savings in there.
It's very minimal because they don't own them.
Oh, that's right. It's a rental.
Do we have a thoughts about oil?
Only in that we'll do what we do every year and go through the competitive bid through the FERCog, which generally helps us get a good price.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Marlo had numbers for that too already.
If he does, that's
I
great.
remember correctly. Maybe not.
For some reason, I didn't think that bid had come through yet. I think he was just submitting our estimates for usage, and their numbers come back a little later. I wish it had been 2 months ago, but
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, only because, who knows what the future brings, but.
Well, is it 8
Home
o'clock?
heating
Is it
oil
8 o'clock yet?
No,
Not quite.
My concern.
Home heating oil is.
6 more minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
By 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight, right? He's gonna,
Looks like we've got a
Decide.
ceasefire, but that's we'll talk about that
whether
later.
he's gonna obliterate the country.
All right.
What else would be helpful to look into?
any more good news?
I gotta say, this was helpful for me to talk this through with all of
This
you. I
is
think we're
good.
making some progress.
Well, you may-
I don't think we're in as bad a shape as many communities are.
A lot of towns and cities are in trouble.
Huh?
South Hadley's like 11 million they're looking for, and
There's a lot of places
Did
in a lot
they
worse
did they
shape.
decide on an override or no?
they have a couple proposals they've brought forward for like the big override of 11 million and then the smaller override of 8 million, and they'll see what passes. And then, they have the nightmare scenario in which nothing passes and they have to cut a lot of staff. And to be fair, we're already cutting staff here, so we have 5.5 positions.
And then Hadley shut down whatever override or.
Yeah, they shut it down.
Back in the fall.
They don't want it.
Sunderland's talking about an override for their elementary schools.
Southampton's
Override.
talking about an
Southampton's-
override.
Yeah, so when I talk to other folks in the field, most towns are looking at overrides right now, or significant cuts, or both. And what I try to do is compare our situation, and if you look at other towns' budgets and the size of their deficit, and the size of our budget and our deficit, I think we're a little smaller, but it's still present, and we'll have to make some real decisions this year to get us through, and then next year to figure out what the future brings. But I think we have a path towards minimal damage this year, but I don't want to kick the can down any further than this next year.
Andrew, can you scroll up to police for me?
For sure.
So I'm just like in 27 request on the bottom, it says 383, 147. In the sheet that we have, it's like 379,
I
22. I know it's not a lot. But
I
was
went
just-
through this with the chief because he was using kind of different line items than we're coming across in the accountant's wrap up.
Yep.
So we filled this out together, kind of updating that request. But we can double check it because I do want to make sure that he's getting exactly what he needs. He did say that he could cut down his police telephone line from 2,400 to 1,200 because he's discontinuing some phones there. And then like he had a line that was 10,000 and here we had it listed as like 5,000 and 4,000. I don't know. It was a little difficult to reconcile what was on his budget to what is here in these line items because they were listed differently. But I went through this with him and I think we're on the same page. But if we need to reduce anything, we certainly can. So I'll send these to you so everyone can kind of look through what the current recommendation
And I'm sure there's
is.
probably been changes to these sheets since we first received them.
A little bit, yeah.
I just caught.
Yeah.
I just
No, it's fair.
was looking at. It's like $4,500 difference.
Yeah.
Do 6:30 next week?
I can.
6 is a little tight.
Yeah, we can, well, we'll do select board at 5:30 and bang out the rest of your agenda and then have finance committee join at 6:30, if that sounds good.
It's fine with me.
Next week a heavy lift week, or is it fairly?
I don't know yet. I think hopefully it's not too much. We should be able to get everything done in an hour. And then dive into this for an hour and a half.
To go through some of this stuff at another point in time.
Probably should.
Do we want to have, you're talking about,
We'll go through these, just the stuff that we have.
Do we want to meet before Tuesday night?
So Monday?
Monday would be, I don't think I can't post for Thursday.
Can't, well, you could post for 8 o'clock on Thursday if you do it really fast.
How about, Monday would be the night, right?
Don't you have cards on Monday night?
Yeah, I could do it if we think it's going to be beneficial.
What's the date?
13th.
13th, it could be Monday.
I think it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if we're gonna meet the 14th.
What time is cards?
Do you do cards?
I can do any time. We can get a sub. It's fine.
Yeah, but what time?
It's normally 7, so it's not going to work for you. So,
Okay. I thought it was normally earlier than that. No,
no.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. We can make it. Well, I could try to squeeze in at 6 o'clock on Monday.
There's no deadline. I mean, I can do 7 even if it works better.
Whatever you want to. Okay.
Let's stay with 6:30 on Monday.
All right. Yeah, I think it'd probably be helpful before we meet on Tuesday to just
Yeah,
See what we can wring out of it.
right. Okay.
Yeah, we can all talk about the results of that on Tuesday. Let's see if there's anything we can do. All right, if anyone thinks of other things you want me to look into, let me know. We'll keep working on this.
Yep.
We'll get it done.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right. We're done. Thank you, guys.
Select
See you
board, do
next time.
you want to adjourn as well, or do you want to,
Anything else for you to do?
Anything else?
up to you? What do you think, Mr. Chair? Anything else, or do you want to adjourn as well?
No, I don't have anything else. I mean, we can look through this. We don't have to go through this tonight because this is just,
the
unless
warrant?
you want to,
Yeah.
just a quick review.
We certainly can. It's up to you.
Well, when is the final time to sign?
We can do the warrants on Tuesday. The warrant has to be done by the 28th.
Okay, so next meeting,
This shouldn't take long.
Yeah, you start looking through, and
start looking
I'll add
the floor.
town hall flooring.
Yeah, add the floor. I think that's the only item that's missing.
Yep. And, we're going back and forth on some of these numbers, but it doesn't have to be the final number in the warrant. It can say a sum, and you fill that in the motion. So,
So it gives us a time to read this again
certainly does.
and double check everything.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you.
Is there anything
So-
else in the agenda?
Is there any other old business that we have to attend to tonight?
No, I had nothing else for you.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, John.